Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft. Here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. You hear the news?
Scott Foster is the news. They just posted the referees for tonight. Scott Foster is the crew chief. Chris
Phoenix
Paul,
winning.
huh?
Phoenix winning.
Phoenix is winning?
Phoenix winning.
Chris Paul has lost his last 12 games in playoff games refereed by Scott Foster. And I guess the NBA said, we want Giannis to win his first championship.
Bet the house on the sun.
Really?
Bet
Why?
the house on the sun.
Just do it upside down? Do it backward?
Yeah. You know,
Just flip a little bit.
Right.
It's got to
Did
get
the
sooner
news
or later,
just
Skip.
come out for us? Seriously? It just dropped? Wow. Well, speaking of Giannis, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Greek Freak, because he is just one win away from winning his first NBA Finals. But the two-time MVP still hasn't gotten total respect around the league from his peers. Just last year, James Harden said of Giannis, quote, "I wish I could just run and be 7 feet and just dunk. Like, that takes no skill at all. I had to actually learn how to play basketball and how to have skill, you know? I'll take that any day." Well, Chris Paul just last week said of his finals opponent, quote, "He comes down there, he dunks some more, and then he shoots a layup." I don't know about these quotes. Shannon, has Giannis earned more respect during these finals?
Well, for me, I don't respect him any more, any less than I did going into the final, Skip. For me, for a guy that everybody says that he can't do, and he doesn't. I think the biggest thing is, to make a long story short, Skip, he can't shoot the ball like a Kevin Durant. He's not flashy with handling the ball like Dame Lillard or Steph Curry. He can't shoot he doesn't ISO and step back and shoots like James Harden. He's not as accomplished or as charismatic as LeBron James. But for a lot of guys that can't, he's a two-time league MVP. He's a defensive player of the year, and he's on the cusp of winning a title and being finals MVP. That's a hell of an accomplishment for a guy that got a lot of can'ts. Well, let me tell you what he can do. And that's what I used to ask. I used to say, "What, man, why you took this guy?" He said, people look for things, what he can't do. Well, let me tell you what he can do. Put the ball in the basket at an elite clip. We haven't seen anybody as dominant on the interior since one Shaquille O'Neal. Skip, we never criticized. We never said Shaq can't shoot threes. We never said Shaq doesn't have a mid-range game. Shaq is not great. Oh, he's terrible at shooting free throws. Shaq was just dominant. Giannis is dominant. He's as dominant as a big man as we've seen since Shaq. That's fact. Skip, you look at what he's as dominant as a two-way player as we've ever had in the NBA. You go back and look at David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Bill Russell. If you say Jordan, you say Kobe, you say LeBron. He's as dominant on both ends of the court as they were. But for whatever reason, players try to minimize, analysts try to minimize him. I get it, Skip. Sure, I would love to see Giannis, but you want the guy to have everything. Would you really want Steph Curry to be 6'8", could handle the ball like he handles the ball, could be a locomotive coming down the lane like LeBron James, and shoot the three like he does? How fair would that be? Well, hell, if they gave Giannis at 7 foot tall everything that Steph Curry and Kevin Durant could do, that ain't fair. It's really unfair that Kevin Durant can do all that. But God said, you know what? I can't give you everything, KD. So I'm going to make you thin. I'm not going to let you be able to just run over people like a Shaq and a Giannis and a LeBron came. I got to take something from you. But Skip, this guy is special. And we've minimized him for far too long. I'm looking at this, Skip. He's the only player to block a dunk in a clutch situation this postseason. He's the only player to block a dunk attempt in clutch time finals over the last 25 seasons. Really? And the only player to block an alley-oop dunk in clutch situation over the last 25 seasons. And Skip, all he does is give you 32 and 13 in the NBA Finals on 61% shooting. What more can the guy do? So now maybe, because the thing is that, yeah, he won 2 Finals MVP, but what did he do in the finals? What did he do in the playoffs? What did he do? So maybe, if he were to finish this off tonight, or maybe if it goes to Game 7 and finish it off, maybe he'll get the respect that he deserves. Because what we're seeing is that as great as Giannis is, without Holiday and Middleton, because you could build the wall, Skip, because guess what they're getting? Chris Middleton never played like this when they built the wall against Toronto. Chris Middleton never played like this when they were building the wall in Miami. Malcolm Brogdon and Drew Bledsoe never gave them the production on both ends of the court that Drew Holiday has given them. So there you have it right there. Giannis is being Giannis, but when he can't be himself, when they say, you know what, we're going to take Giannis away. Chris Middleton says, I wish you might go one-on-one with me. Holiday says, I'm going to show you what I got. So for me, I haven't gained any more respect for Giannis because I had the utmost respect for him to begin with, Skip, because you don't accidentally win back-to-back MVPs.
Okay.
That's not a mistake.
Okay. I did not have the utmost respect for him, and I can back up why I did not. And back to the James Harden quote, as over harsh as it might sound in retrospect, Giannis started that beef. Giannis, as he picked the All-Star team, basically said, I want somebody who will pass the basketball.
Yeah, we were just joking.
Okay. Well, he chose Kemba Walker over Giannis. That's what he did.
Right.
As they were selecting back and forth with him and LeBron selecting. Was it LeBron? Yeah. LeBron selecting their teams. And then he made the statement after the game that we went at whoever James was guarding. So he even took a shot at James's defense during the game.
And he let Charles Barkley talk him about I didn't want the dribbler.
That's correct. Okay. So that started the beef.
It did.
And James tried to finish it by saying, well, all he does is run and jump.
Right.
Okay. Well, you can pretty much boil down his game to all he does is run and jump. That's a little over harsh, but Chris Paul, during this series, basically boiled it down to he dunks, and then he lays it up. Okay, well, he does. And I can't take that away because that in and of itself to consistently do is very hard to do. And if you can get that, what I call hustle bunnies, that's what he does. I've said before, the respect I've gained through this finals run is I have never, ever seen a player in all my years covering this game, this sport, these finals, ever seen a player get more hustle bunnies. I'm talking about just you are out working, out hustling, out trying everybody else on the floor for the basketball or trying to get to the basket. You are playing 1,000 miles an hour every possession that you're on the floor to the point that I have never seen this in my whole career. Right. That he plays so hard early in games that they now routinely, after 3 minutes of the basketball game, they pull him out and sit him down so he can catch his breath and settle into the game. Right. He hyperventilates on the floor because he gets too amped up. Well, I can't condemn that because what's the essence of sports? What are you taught to do when you're 5 years old? Right. You got to play hard. And he is playing harder more consistently, I think, than anybody I've ever seen. And I'm going to give this up to him because I've never seen anything like this. If I can boil down the essence of this series right here, right now, the reason we're sitting on the precipice of Milwaukee wins its first championship since 1974 is 71. I'm sorry.
They lost in 74.
70.
They won in 71. They lost in 74.
But 71, that's correct. So the essence of this, it boils down to that Giannis has consistently played harder and more effectively than DeAndre Ayton. I promise you, you can have all the backcourt stuff that you want. You can have the Chris Pauls, and you can have the Books, and you can have this and that, and the Middletons and the Holidays. But in the end, it has boiled down to that Monty Williams very stubbornly, proudly has said, my 7-footer can guard him, and we don't need to build walls to stop him. I'm just putting my guy on this guy. Right. And his guy, DeAndre Ayton, his motor does not run nearly as hot as Giannis's does. Right. It comes and it goes. He's idling too often. His motor's idling. He doesn't have that consistent killer will where he's just trying to go as hard as he can. Well, Giannis is hard for me to wrap my arms around because there's nothing cool about his game. Right. He doesn't have that superstar coolness about him. I can do this and I can do that and I got you, and there's no cool trash talk to him. He mean mugs when after a dunk. Yeah, after a dunk, when I'm saying, just stop it. You don't need to do that. Just go win the game. And the point is that Ayton drifts through games. Right. And if you're going to ask Ayton to consistently guard him, and you were all over Ayton yesterday, or over Monty, for giving baseline. It's the cardinal sin in basketball. Well, it's just a teaching point, and I'm sure they have driven it through DeAndre Ayton's head time and time again. Just don't give him the baseline, because once you give the baseline away, that's what I was taught in church league basketball when I was 6 years old. If you give it away, you lose because you can't. There's no way to defend. He can go up and under. He can do 1,000 things to you. You're going to lose if you let him go down the baseline, because he's got a friend in the baseline, and you're going to be trapped behind him. So the point is that consistently, routinely, Ayton has been outplayed. Yeah. And he's not having the impact Giannis is. So what are the signature plays that Giannis has pulled off in these finals? Well, he had the block, and again, it was overrated to me, because how did Giannis characterize it after the game? It was just a hustle play. Right. He turned, he saw Book looking, and here we go.
He has two of those, Skip. Remember the chase down.
And he had a chase down. But these are just hustle plays where he's just saying, I see him, and I'll just go up here, and I'll just jump as hard and as high as I can jump. Right. And Ayton catches the ball at its peak, and Ayton has nowhere to go. Ayton's leaning back. It wasn't a great lob pass. It wasn't right at the rim. It was too far and too high up on the glass. And once Ayton snatches it up high, the long arm of the law is already there. It's just hustle. He just beat him to the basketball, to the high point. So that was number one. And then we had the steal by Holiday in the game we just saw, and then we see the breakaway, and this is just Giannis. He's just running the floor harder and just saying, throw it up to me. I got this. Right. And Chris Paul kind of loses his mind and goes over the edge of frustration and shoves him. And
then what happened on the miss, Skip? Remember Giannis missed the free throw? Okay, but he back-tapped it.
He bricked it so hard that it came back to him. So in basketball skill, this is the opposite of what James Harden was saying. What Giannis has shown me is that he's averaging 6 assists in this finals. Right. That is very good. Yeah. Because that shows me he understands when I get cut off at the pass, I can find him or I can find him. Right. And he's showing me the ability to see the floor and throw accurate passes to shooters that I didn't know that he had to this level in the finals. So I'm going to give him that, and I give him look, what's his signature play? Well, if you don't build a wall, well, he pick and rolls, and then he turns, and if you give him the ball too often, he'll just say, oh, maybe I should shoot this. And we both agree, obviously, well, that's just insane, because he's 2 of 12 from 3 in these finals, right, which is 17%. But what he is best at, he is the opposite of Shaquille O'Neal or Wilt Chamberlain, in that they were true centers, true fives, and they played with their backs to the basket. Yeah. You lobbed it into them, and they had somebody on their hip, and then they're just going to wheel and try to dunk over you or get you to foul them. Right. Okay. But Giannis doesn't do that
Very rarely does he play with his back to the basket.
Okay. But he plays face up from the three-point line. Yeah. He might turn and say, okay, I won't shoot this. But if he says, oh, it's just Ayton in single coverage, what does he do? He puts his head down and he goes as hard as he can to the basket. Yep. And he is so explosive as an athlete. He's 6'11". He's not like Shaq 7'1", Wilt 7'1", and Shaq 325 pounds. He's not that guy. No. He weighs 240 at 6'11", and he's a long 6'11", but he is an explosive athlete who can jump out of the gym. Right. So if he gets downhill on you, left-handed or right-handed, he's skilled enough that he's going to get a step on you. And if he gets a step, he can just lay it up off the glass because you can't stop him. Nope. Okay, so that's the essence of what he's done. Right. But the reason I don't condemn either James or Chris for having issues with it to this point, I'm going to remind everybody, it may happen tonight, but right now, as we speak, Giannis is 35-28 in the postseason. In games he's played in there, 35-28. Well, that's not that much over 500. In playoff series he has participated in his career, they have won 6 and lost 5. Well, that's not Shaq domination, right? That's not Shaq's three-peat and starting in 2000, right? And I just remind you that even this year in Game 2 against Brooklyn at Brooklyn, this team lost by 39 points. Do you remember that game? It wasn't that long ago. Right. The Milwaukee Bucks lost by 39, and Giannis was held to 18 points by a team that didn't even have a center, didn't have really anybody to guard him, right? They went small, small, small. Right. Okay, so that happened. And then do I need to bring up the cataclysmic meltdown flameouts against Toronto when they went up 2-0. This is 2 years back.
Right.
And then they lost 4 straight games. And in those 4 games, I'm just going to remind everybody, Giannis was held to 44% shooting from the floor. Well, you know, he's right now, what is he, 61% for this finals. 44% and 47% from the free throw line. And actually, in these finals, he's been pretty good from the free throw line.
But let me tell you what happened, though, Skip. Did Chris Middleton play like he's playing right now against Toronto?
Okay.
Because if he had...
It went the other way because they didn't say we're going to single you, we're going to triple you.
Right.
So they basically said, Giannis, you can't swoop to the hoop anymore. We're going to take that away.
And then what did he do, Skip?
Okay.
He got charging foul because he's trying to run over everybody.
Okay.
He didn't trust. Now you say he's averaging 6 assists.
He's averaging 6 assists. But all of a sudden, the onus and the pressure fell back onto Middleton. There wasn't a holiday at that point, obviously. But Middleton and any other shooters that they had, it falls back on you. It's your responsibility now to save the day. And they couldn't save the day.
Correct.
Okay? So he's been in a flow through the first 5 games, Giannis has, where it's taken pressure off. While Middleton and Holiday can just go along for the ride because they're not the ride, although Middleton down the stretch just takes over every game.
He's the guy.
He is the closer. Okay? So I also remind everybody that in the bubble, Giannis's team lost the first 3 games to the upstart Miami Heat that finally got to the finals and played you guys. Okay? And in those 3 games, Giannis shot 45% from the floor and 15% from 3 and only 54% from the free throw line. So he melted down and disappeared. And they did the same thing. They looked at what Toronto did on tape and they said, we build a wall. You can't come in here. We're going to get you frustrated and get you completely out of rhythm and out of sorts and off your game. Well, if you can do that to him, you got him. And yet, I don't know why Phoenix hasn't resorted to that at all because, they have so much respect. They love their center. They have a true 5. They think he is the next guy. He's got next in the NBA. And so far in this series, he doesn't got next. And we just talked about Scott Foster. Well, Scott Foster ref game 3 of the finals. And what happened to Ayton?
Like 20 minutes.
Yeah, Ayton got in quick foul trouble. And in the second half of that game, thanks in large part to Scott Foster calling ticky-tack fouls to me, or at least calling nitpicky fouls, that he played a grand total, did DeAndre Ayton in the second half, 5 minutes and scored a grand total of 2 points. And what happened? Milwaukee had its way because of that.
Skip, I'm a firm believer, and coaches in any particular sport, managers or whatever you want to call them, they would rather lose their way than win someone else's way. Because Monty Williams says, I believe in DeAndre Ayton, and I believe we can, instead of going back and looking at the tape and seeing what Toronto did, look at what Miami did in winning those series, well, I'm going to trust my guy. And the thing is that if you go back and look at it, Skip, no one with Giannis, Brogdon and Bledsoe aren't the equivalent of Holiday. And Middleton has grown up right before our eyes because he's a different player than he was 2 years ago.
I would agree.
So now Giannis says, you know what? I don't have to run over people. I don't have to draw fouls or get myself in foul trouble. I'll just trust Middleton. I'll trust Holiday to do what I know they can do, and everything's going to be fine. So now, once you start pushing out on them, that's going to single me up, and I can eat again. But these guys, you look at it, Skip, 32 and 13 on 61% shooting, but look at what Middleton has done in the last 3 games. Look at what Holiday did last game. You got to win games when Holiday is back. Holiday was 4 of 20. Skip, that's the game you got to win because then you'd be up 3-1. That's the game you got to have. Because if he goes 12 or 20, Skip, you know Giannis is going to be 60%.
Okay, I got it. Here's the other thing that I don't love about Giannis, and yet it's so crucial to his makeup and his success. He's got a childlike naivete to him, where sometimes he's just playing like he doesn't really get what's happening around him, and he has no shame to miss free throws or to airball threes. Nothing bothers him. It's like...
That's what you need.
He's got that mentality of, I don't care. I don't care.
I got beat. Okay, after shot of air ball, guess what? I'm going to try to get fouled again and get right back to the free throw line. But
it's one thing just to be sort of naive to it, and it's another thing to suck it up as a cornerback and say, I got to forget that. And make yourself have no memory. I blank out my memory. I'm going to get him this time. Okay, well, in Giannis's case, It's like he doesn't really understand what's going on, that the crowd is ridiculing him with the quick count.
Right.
But he has no shame about it in a good way.
Right.
Like he's the opposite of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is so proud. He is so aware of his surroundings and what it all means and the history of it that he's taking it straight to heart. They are shaming me. They're saying I can't make late game free throws, so I give up. I've got this point blank shot. I'm not even going to shoot it because I know they're going to foul me and I'm going to have to go make those free throws.
Skip, I just think the thing is now that we're overcritical. We never said Magic can't shoot the ball like Bird or he doesn't have a pull-up jumper like Jordan. We never did that. We don't say, well, Steph Curry can't post, Dame Lillard can't post anybody up. We give them credit. We give them heaps and bounds of credit for what they can do and what they do really well.
I got it. But you know how big a fan I am of Joel Embiid.
Yes.
Again, can't stay healthy. He's still got another cartilage tear. So it's always something. He's sick or hurt, sick or hurt.
Right.
But Joel Embiid is just the epitome of what I want in my five, in my center, because he can do everything you want, including block shots. And he can shoot free throws at an 85% clip, and he can make late-game clutch free throws.
Right.
And he can shoot threes pretty well.
Yes.
And so can Jokic. Jokic is your guy.
Yes.
Jokic can do it all. He can be the point center. He's not a good passer. He is a great passer.
Correct.
And he can shoot threes, and he can make free throws at an 85% clip. He can do everything that you ask a basketball player to do, and he's 7 feet tall.
Right.
Same for Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. This guy, not so much.
Right.
He's got big holes in his game, but in the finals, he's averaging 32, 13, and 6 assists. It's extraordinary. And he's not a great rebounder. He's never led the league in rebounding.
No.
But how does he get 13 rebounds again?
And he averaged that for Skip. I mean, he's averaging 12, 13 rebounds every year.
He does. How does he do that? Is he gifted like Dennis Rodman as a below-the-rim rebounder? No?
He's like Rodman because he hustles.
He hustles. He just hustles. He outworks people for the basketball. Because to me, rebounding is about half heart or guts or whatever you want to call it. It's want to. It's desire. I want the ball worse than you want the ball.
Correct.
And he often does. Nobody plays harder than Giannis. So I give that up to him.
Right.
But it's still, I keep telling you, he's not my cup of tea.
Right.
I don't love this because he doesn't classically fit the mold of a superstar NBA player. There's nothing cool about him. There's nothing that I'm in awe of except that he plays so hard.
He does, Skip, but when you look at it, Skip, he's not... Is he a top 3 three-point shooter? No. Is he a top 3 mid-range shooter? No. Is he the top 3 guy with a back to the handles? No. Back to the basket? No. Free throw shooter? No.
But 32, 13, and 6. I can't argue with that.
How do you find fault with a guy that's 32, 13, shooting 60%?
And you're a 5-point favorite tonight that should be about a 7-point favorite thanks to Scott Foster's presence.
Bet the house on the Suns.
Okay. Well, they're in position A to win this championship. And he is in position A+ to be the MVP.
Oh, yeah, it's a no-brainer.
All right.
No mercy.
The Suns' hot streak, well, it could be coming to an end. They only had 4 total losses all playoffs before losing their last 3 to the Bucks. This will also be the first time the Suns will be playing in an elimination game all postseason. Giannis and the Bucks are favored by 5 points tonight, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, as they look to close it out at home. So, Shannon, who wins Game 6?
You know, Skip, a part of me now that I know Scott Foster is reffing the game, I want to say, you know what, the trend will be broken tonight.
And that is 0-12.
Yeah, the 0-12. Chris Paul with Scott Foster officiated games in which he's played in.
Playoff games.
Playoff games. They've lost all of them. The one game that he reffed, a Chris Paul game, CP3 didn't actually play. That was, I think, Game 2. And so they ended up winning that game.
Yep.
But my head just says no. It's just hard for me to see a scenario for them to stem the tide. And I know all the games have been close, but Skip, every close game, the Bucks have operated them in clutch situations. They've made every play. They forced the Suns to turn the basketball over. You look at this. The Bucks have grabbed a plus 32 on the offensive glass. They're plus 31 in field goal attempts. They're plus 25 in free throw attempts. They're minus 14 in turnovers. They've turned the ball over 14 times less than what Phoenix. Anybody that's not named DeAndre Ayton, when they guard Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's shooting 79%. He's attempted 2 threes against everybody else. He's attempted 10 against DeAndre Ayton. Somehow, Skip, you're going to have to find a way. You can't get switched up on him. You got to have, if you're going to play him straight up, and that seems to, they're hell bent on saying, we believe our 7-foot guy can guard your 6'11 guy. I don't think that's wise, but hey, it is what it is. But he's only shooting 44% against DeAndre Ayton, 79% against everybody else. Skip, it's just hard for them to overcome. And we've seen Middleton break out of that shooting slump when he went back home. Now, do I believe Holiday will have another 12 or 20 game? No, but I do believe he's going to hound Chris Paul from end to end. And that's what we've never seen a guy do what Holiday has done. Skip, that's make one guy work on one end while making him also work on the other end. Because we don't normally see guys do that. So he's like, oh, Chris Paul, I'm going to hound you for 94 feet. But guess what? They're going to come see me down. They're going to see, and I'm going to back you down on the block and zap some of that out of you, and come fourth quarter, we're going to see what you still have left in the tank. But Skip, I'm going to take the Bucks tonight, because what I've seen from them is that, as you said, at some point in time, it just comes to me is that they just want it more. They're making all the hustle plays. Every 50-50 ball late in the ball game, somehow Bobby Portis or Connington or Giannis, they come up with that ball. Every rebound, offensive board, they crash, they get. And they don't make these silly turnovers late in the ball games that we've seen Chris Paul have one, and we've seen Booker get the ball taken out of his hands. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Bucks in a very close ball game. But I'm going to tell you this, Skip, I don't believe they cover. I believe it's going to be close, like the last 2 ball games were, but I still believe the Bucks pull it out.
The spread last time I looked, just before the show started, was I saw 5. Okay. But with Scott Foster, I think seriously it should rise to 7. Okay. So here's my big picture on this series. I have been wrong so many times about this series that maybe the least predictable is the most predictable at this point. So maybe the way I should be picking it now is for Phoenix to win tonight and Milwaukee to win Game 7 back in Phoenix.
Go the opposite.
Wouldn't that be like the classic way to finish this series? I have said from the start, I believe Phoenix is a little bit better than Milwaukee, but Phoenix does not play as hard or perform as well as Milwaukee does.
Right.
Phoenix doesn't make as many plays or shots. And you know and I know that Game 4 and Game 5 came down to one play at the end of the game that Chris Paul couldn't make in Game 4 with 32 seconds left, when he just flat out lost the basketball, palmed it, and then lost the handle right-handed on it and just gave it away, and Holiday scooped it up and went the other way for a fast break, easy layup for Middleton, and that was ball game.
Correct.
So there it goes. There goes Holiday, give it to Middleton over Book, and that's ball game. And then obviously the other night, here we go again, but the other night it just comes down to one play, and Monty Williams says, Book's got the ball in his hands. I ain't calling no timeout. Just go make a shot. And he had a shot, I thought, at about 15 feet or 10 feet, and he got deeper and deeper, and he got stuck, and he drowned, basically. That he wheeled out, and Holiday took the ball right out of his hands and goes the other way for the high-flying Giannis alley-oop, and that's basically ball game, even though they needed another lucky bounce from Giannis bricking it so bad. But the point is, each of those games came down to a play and a play. I just feel like Phoenix deep down is defeated. Like we had our chances and we just couldn't do it. And then the most disturbing trend of all to me, in Game 5 on Saturday night in Phoenix, Game 5, this is it. And again, as electric a crowd as you'll ever be a part of. And they go up 37-21 after a quarter, and I just thought, bring on Game 6. Let's see what we got here. And it felt like a 7-game series to me.
It did.
And from that point forward until the 9:08 mark of the fourth quarter, I still can't get it through my head how the Phoenix Suns at home in front of that crowd gave up an 87-57 run. That's a 30-point swing. You got blown off your floor for that whole run. And then They bounced back and came back. In the fourth quarter, they go on a 25 to 12 run down the stretch and put themselves in position for Holiday to miss, Book to get the rebound, Book to dribble the ball up the floor, and now it's game on the line. Here we go, and they couldn't pull it off.
It shouldn't have taken you getting down by 14 for you to play defense for a 5-minute stretch in the fourth quarter.
I agree.
As you gave up. Skip, you gave up 43 in the second, and then you followed it up by giving up another 36 in the third. You give up 79 in 2 quarters and you expect to win?
Okay. Now back to Scott Foster. We talked about this whenever it was. It was after Game 3 when he shows up. And remember, Chris brought it up after Game 3 of the Lakers series, in which he fell to 0-11 with Scott Foster reffing his playoff games. And he volunteered after the game. He just said, man, 0-11. And he said, if I was a betting man, ... and didn't finish the sentence, 0-11. 0-11. And then as they tried to end the interview, he said, 0-11. He wanted everybody to know that he can't fight City Hall. You know, he feels like that the NBA said, let there be Scott Foster. And remember, he got so upset with Scott Foster because he thought it got personal that he actually went to the league off. I mean, he didn't. He called.
Requested a meeting.
Yeah, he requested. I don't know if it went all the way to the commissioner, but this was when he was in Oklahoma City 2 years ago.
It would have to go to.
It would have to go to the commissioner that he complained, and it became public that he complained about Scott Foster, which means Scott Foster knows all too well that Chris actually publicly condemned him. Okay, so is it bad blood? Sure it is. But I thought, okay, so are they going to assign him to Chris Paul? And they did. They assigned him to Game 3 of this series. And what happened to DeAndre Ayton? Quick foul trouble. Remember the early foul was Giannis just running over Jay Crowder. He just ran over him. It's as blatant an offensive charge as you will ever see. Just an offensive foul. And Scott Foster blows his whistle and lays it on Jay Crowder. What? Here it is. Just ran him over. How is this not an offensive foul? How is that a foul on Crowder? Was he not stationary? Was he trying to foul? No, he just got knocked out. That's a Scott Foster call. What do you think Chris Paul said in the back of his mind?
Here we go.
I can't even repeat what he probably said, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and here they went. And Ayton got into quick foul trouble and played 5 total minutes in the second half and scored a grand total of 2 points. Okay, Scott Foster. But I told you the other day, the NBA is under such fire about Scott Foster, and he's regarded as a good referee in general. I think he's terrible. But
you can't take him out, Skip, because then you would be actually agreeing with what people are thinking.
You would. If you eliminated him.
Yeah, you can't.
From the rotation of referees in the finals, then you're agreeing. So you have to validate him. You have to reinforce him. You have to say, no, we believe in Scott Foster, and we assign him to Game 6.
Yeah, but you know he was coming back. Skip, I said it's going to be hard. It's hard for me to see a scenario that if this is a long series, Scott Foster doesn't get another game. He got one game. The pool is already set. So they're going to rotate the guys, and they're probably, everybody that's in the pool is probably going to get at least 2 games. Okay. If it goes 7 games.
And maybe this had already been assigned in advance. And yet they couldn't anticipate that Milwaukee was going to figure out how to steal a game 5 at Phoenix. I still can't believe it, but they did.
Just like David Stern, Skip, he couldn't pull Joey Crawford from Spurs game because everybody said, oh, so you do realize that there's a little bias going on here. So you actually took him away from the Spurs. He did suspend him. But he was able to call Spurs games again. Skip, look, if you look at the Suns are shooting a higher percentage from the floor, a higher percentage from the 3, a higher percentage from the free throw line. But I gave you all the reasons why they're down 3-2. Because they're minus 32 on the offensive glass. The other team has shot 25 more free throws. You've turned the ball over 14 more times. That's why even though you're out shooting them across the board, you find yourself down 3-2.
So with the Scott Foster syndrome in full operation mode tonight, is it possible that Scott Foster is feeling some personal pressure to be more fair than usual with Chris Paul? Will he try to go the other way? Will he try to give Chris a more favorable whistle tonight? I doubt it, but it could play in reverse.
What if Chris doesn't read it? You know, they go in there and look and they see who the officials are. What if they say, Chris, don't even worry about it. And he don't know it's Scott Foster. He goes out there and warms up.
Well, maybe.
He knows. He knows.
Well,
That's I'm sure the first thing he does in the morning, he probably gets up and he probably look, okay, who calling that?
They post them at 9 Eastern time.
So who's officiating our games today?
Yeah, trust me, that's what they do, because that has huge impact on the game.
Oh, they're going to let us, he lets us play. Man, they be calling ticky-tack.
That is correct. Okay, so now that brings us back to Chris Paul. Right now, through the first 5 games of this series, Devin Booker and plus-minus is a plus 27. And all the time he's been on the floor, they have been ahead by 27 points.
Yes.
Chris Paul, and all the time he has been on the floor through 5 games, the team is a minus 3. Mm-hmm. So they have lost by 3 points with Chris on the floor. He is the only Phoenix starter who is a minus in plus-minus. What does that tell you? That Chris Paul has ridden the wildest roller coaster I think I've ever seen, because I don't know from night to night what to expect from him. I don't know from quarter to quarter what to expect from him.
Well, Skip, when you get his age, Skip, I mean, hell, you don't know.
Okay.
I mean, and Skip, he's having to exert a lot.
Okay.
He just because think about it, when he played the other game, he's guarding Pat Bev. Pat Bev ain't gonna put no pressure on nobody.
Well, he does. I think he does.
Offensively,
I see what you mean.
He's going to make you work defensively.
Right, he will.
But you see what Holiday doing?
I got it. You're right. Which is why you made the point the other night. Don't put it. Switch him off onto Tuck.
Let him stand in the corner. Yes.
Okay, go stand in the corner and rest for a while.
Yes, with Tuck.
Okay, I got it. But some nights, Chris looks every bit of 36 years old and every bit of 16 years in this league.
Yes,
and there's some nights it looks like he has to really effort up. You know, he has to work hard just to get up to shoot his 3, to get it to the basket. Right. And then in the fourth quarter the other night, he caught fire.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And we go back a series against the Clippers, and you're campaigning, so to speak, for campaign to play a few more minutes.
Right.
And you know what? I agreed with you because he gives them a spark.
Right.
He gives them some electricity because he is so lightning quick. And yet in this series, Cameron Payne has been nowhere to be found because their whole bench has been nowhere.
They've been awful.
Okay.
And Coddington and Portis are really the only 2 guys that come. Teague has played a little bit off the bench, but it's mainly been Coddington and Portis. And he's outplayed everybody that's come from Torrey Craig. That's a minus 20-something. Cameron Johnson minus 30-something. Cameron Payne minus 20-something. They've been ramshackled by the little 2-man bench of the Bucks.
So can we get a Game 6 Clippers Staples game from Chris Paul tonight? A 41-pointer?
Oh, you got to see close out, Chris?
Well, that guy he scored 27 in basically the last quarter. It was a couple of minutes of the third and the whole fourth. He scored 27 points against the Clippers. Shot them right out of their own gym. It's LeBron's gym, but they were renting it that night, right?
Right.
So the point is, is he capable of doing that to Milwaukee? I guess so. But with Scott Foster there, again, I would up the line to -7 right now.
You saw what he did against the Nuggets in the closeout game? 37.
37, yeah.
And then you saw that. And then the opening night against the Bucks. You're off 32, Skip. Effortless is like, damn. What's gotten into everybody? Like, what's gotten into Chris Paul?
I don't know. Well, it better get into him tonight because I'm with you. It doesn't feel good right now for the Suns to me. I think it's going to end tonight.
Wow. Oh, I just never want the ref to be the story that we're talking about. I just hate that about this one. I hate it. We got to move on to the Cowboys, Skip, your team. They fly out to California to begin training camp this week. And Stephen Jones says the team is, quote, pumped up. But Hall of Famer Michael Irvin expressed his frustration with his former team that they hadn't met the 85% vaccine threshold to help ease COVID restrictions during training camp. Irvin said that the team should be upset and that this could stop the team from making a Super Bowl run if the entire team isn't focused enough for it. So, Shannon, do you agree with Irvin that this will hinder his Cowboys' ability to win the Super Bowl?
Nah, their roster is what's going to hinder him. But I get the point that he's trying to make, Skip, is that there are limitations that unvaccinated players create.
Yep.
And basically, we're going to know who's vaccinated, who isn't, by who's wearing masks, who isn't. Who's being able to sit and talk around and be around each other, and who isn't. And Skip, players always, what's the number one thing players say? I don't want to be a distraction. I I hate to break it to you, but unvaccinated players will be a distraction.
Yep.
Because it limits what you can do in the meeting room. How many people can be in the meeting room? How many people can be in the workout room? But Skip, I mean, when you're on the practice field, guys are gonna, and then it's just you create a situation. And I get it, you know, players. What I don't get, Skip, is that we always talk about team. I want to do what's in the best interest of the team. Well, I think this would be in the best interest of the team. I think Bruce Arians said it best. You want to get back to normal, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And there's only 40% of the league, Skip, that's met the threshold. What is it, 13 or 32 teams
That's
have met
the report.
Yep. Of what, 85%? The threshold is okay, you can pretty much get back to normal. But you got a lot of these teams, Skip, that's not going to be anywhere close to normal. And I just don't know how you carry on meetings, practice, workout, things of that nature when you have so many players on a team that's unvaccinated. And Jerry, come on, Jerry. I need you to have that stance that you took for the anthem. You know all these players, Cowboy player will stand at attention.
Yep.
I need you to take that stance. Jerry, where you at? Oh, my bad. I forgot. Go ahead, Skip.
I know where you're headed. So to your point, let me get this out of the way up front. If you, any of our viewers, have a personal issue, you're anti-vaccine, getting vaccinated for political reasons or religious reasons or cultural reasons, or maybe you just hate needles.
Right.
God bless you. I got it.
Yep.
But we are talking about players who play for a team, my team in the National Football League, in this instance, the Dallas Cowboys. There is no bigger Cowboy fan out there, including me, than Michael Irvin.
Yeah. He's bigger than you.
He is even bigger than I, because he has no perspective whatsoever.
Zero.
It is Super Bowl or bust. Super Bowl, here we come. Every year is a Super Bowl year. He has little to zero objectivity. I'm going to go with zero objectivity until now. This was pleasantly shocking to me that he took his team to task.
Right.
He blasted the Cowboys because his point is, I don't care what you personally believe, you are part of a team that will have a better chance of preparing to go win this year's Super Bowl if you reach the 85%. Or to his point, if you are 100% vaccinated.
Right.
If every player on the roster gets vaccinated, the COVID rules, the protocol rules, allow you as a football team to prepare much more comfortably and easily and collectively than if you don't reach the threshold. Because if you don't, the rules are going to prohibit you from meeting together, from eating together, from doing a whole lot of things together. You're going to have to get tested far more often. You're going to have to wear masks everywhere you go within the facility. It's going to be a burden on you if you do not reach the threshold. And they have not. And Michael's point was that he learned from Jimmy Johnson at the University of Miami, and then again as a Dallas Cowboy, that nothing else in the world matters to you except winning this championship. And that, listen, I covered Michael Irvin. What have I told you before? I believe he was the greatest receiver overall in impact. Trust me on this. He was the leader of that dynastic run of Cowboy teams. And again, should they have won 5 in a row if Jerry hadn't fired Jimmy? Probably so. We don't have time to delve into all that. But it was a dynastic group that they had together. The leader, the rocket fuel of that team was Michael Irvin. And again, he couldn't lead himself off the field, but on the field, you better believe, on the practice field, in the weight room, in the huddle, on the sideline, he led that football team. You want to talk about a powerful, you know him as well as I do.
Absolutely.
He has huge charisma, and his whole being was completely dedicated to the process of winning Super Bowls. Right. So listen,
they don't have enough Michael Irvins on the team now. That's their problem.
Because he did it with a rage, like a crazed rage of, we are going to do this. Right. I can't tell you how many times I was up or out there late at the practice facility talking to Jerry Jones, like at 9 o'clock at night, and I'd be walking to my car, and here would Irvin be coming out of the weight room. Listen, he was a workout warrior, and everybody said he would come early and stay late practicing. Right. Okay? So he had that. Again, I can't defend him off the field because he had his issues. Because as Barry Switzer used to teach, you play hard, party hard. That was,
right.
To the victor goes the spoils, right? So you go win the championship, and then you go win the party. That was Switzer's idea, and Michael kind of went over the edge with that. But my point is, Michael's point is the point, that he's saying, hey, if you're a Dallas Cowboy and you do have a chance this year, and I'll give them, it's a long shot chance, but they have a chance. Some people are already picking them, I can't believe it, to win the NFC.
Right.
I've seen several of the experts pick them to win the NFC this year over the Bucs,
right?
The defending champs. Okay, so can we agree they have some long shot chance? If everything clicked and they stayed healthy, do they have a chance? Sure, they have a chance because Dak is back. But you're going to hinder that chance if you don't get vaccinated. And I don't know, camp is upon us, so they're going to probably open camp with the being under protocol, right?
Because it says 13 of the teams have the 85% threshold of players vaccinated. Roughly 73% of the players have been vaccinated. But I think the thing is, Skip, when you look at it, the unvaccinated players are required to stay at the team hotel for meals, can't eat in restaurants or interact with non-team members during travel. Unvaccinated players, they can go out, they can leave the hotel. They can interact with family members. They can do things that and then you can't get mad. And I just saw the University of Indiana said everybody that comes back, faculty and students, must be vaccinated, and the federal courts upheld it. Said yes. Well, you don't want to get vaccinated? You have to learn online.
All right.
Well, at some point in time, I believe employers, not just going to say, look, either you get vaccinated or we're going to have to find somebody that's willing to get vaccinated.
I've seen several restaurant owners here in California, and by the way, we're back under a mask rule now.
Yes.
But they have said to employees, if you don't get vaccinated, I'm going to fire you because it's going to hurt my business.
Yeah, Skip, I'm tired of wearing a mask for 4 hours on a plane. I'm in the airport, walking down the street in the restaurant. I'm tired of doing that.
Okay, why are you having to do that?
Because, I don't believe it. Skip, people got vaccinated for smallpox, for measles, for chicken pox, and didn't have a problem. Oh, they got seatbelt. I remember when they I was old enough to remember when the seatbelt became a thing. I ain't wearing no seatbelt. Okay, guess what they started doing? They started finding them, and guess what? Clicking a ticket. Come on, people.
Okay, I am with you, but again, I respect the individual's belief, but those individuals aren't playing for the Cowboys or apparently working in a restaurant in California.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. I believe the teams should, they said, look, guys, this is for the betterment of the team. Now, if there's a religious, if you haven't been vaccinated, because there are a lot of people, Skip, that didn't want to get vaccinated, they homeschool their kids. Okay, and that's what this course is saying. If there's a religious belief behind it, okay, fine, but it's kind of hard, Skip, when you play in an environment and you got all these other guys getting vaccinated. How do I meet? How do I get to a meeting where I got two guys that's vaccinated, but I got 7 guys that need to be in the room and 5 of them are unvaccinated?
Okay. What's the essence of winning the 3 Super Bowls that you won? You have to learn to sacrifice for the good of the whole, right?
Oh, so what about that team? I'm going to do what's in the best interest for the team. Oh. That sounds good in theory. Oh. When you talking to the media, I'll do anything for this team, until in actuality, I won't do anything for the team. I'm going to do what I believe in the best interest of me. Okay. And I'm with Michael. I would do anything to win. I prepared that way. I trained that way. And I think that's why I had some of the success that I did. And that's not to say that guys that's unvaccinated won't have success. But I agree with Mike on this. The more people that we can get to meet together, to practice together, and to be a cohesive unit, I think that increases the chances of winning.
So I want to thank publicly my friend Michael Irvin for once, blasting the Dallas Cowboys for all the right reasons.
So it's going to be interesting to see, Skip. All it's going to take is one superstar.
Yep. Well, I thought we got through this in 2020, but here we go again.
Well, the 2020 protocols are still in place.
I got it.
Unvaccinated?
And they should be.
Yes.
No mercy. So the drama in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers continues. The Packers are just over a week away from starting training camp, and Aaron Rodgers has still not committed to the team. This morning, there's also a new report that the Packers offered Rodgers a 2-year extension that would have made him the highest paid player in football. But Rodgers declined the offer that would have kept him in Green Bay for 5 more seasons. Shannon, are you now convinced Rodgers will be gone from Green Bay?
Skip, there's still no way to definitively tell. I mean, I've listened to all of his teammates, and they still believe that he's going to report to camp. A lot of people believe that it was about money, that Aaron Rodgers wanted a way of getting more money so he could determine when he was going to leave. And he knows, Skip, if I get X amount of dollars, the likelihood of them getting rid of me and having $70 million of dead cap space on their books wasn't very good. So I was going to have some say over how long I was able to play in Green Bay. But it doesn't look like that he's returning to Green Bay. Now, Packers play-by-play guy, Wayne Larrivee, told NFL Network yesterday, Rodgers hired a cleaning service to deep clean his Green Bay home. So maybe he's having it clean. He's been away all offseason. Maybe he wants his spick and span clean when he gets back. Maybe that's all. Maybe we shouldn't read too much into that. But if the Packers offered him the extension with the money that he wanted, which was going to 2 years, because he has 3 years left, was going to give him some money. I don't really know what else he wants. We know what he wants. Gutekunst to get up out of there. He wants them to publicly apologize for selecting a quarterback when they had the MVP on their roster. That's not going to happen. It doesn't seem like they're going to fire Brian Gutekunst. That doesn't seem likely to happen. So, Skip, at this point, I'm out of speculating what it is that Aaron Rodgers actually wants. I do know this. He's upset that they took a quarterback and he was on the roster.
And he has not gotten over that.
He has not gotten over that.
Yep.
He says he's been working on his mentals and getting his mind to go and be in sync with his body. But, Aaron, until you get past them selecting Jordan Love, because unfortunately we're not that good where we can rewind the hands of time. That's been done. So, Skip, at this point, it doesn't look like it. But the question is Aaron Rodgers willing to forego $50,000 a day? And what they had in the new CBA is that the team can no longer forgive those fines. Skip, it used to be you show hold out, you come back in, we forgive it, we give you a little bit more money. No more. Whatever the fines are on the book, the team has to collect that money. So is Aaron Rodgers willing to forego, $30 million this year to prove his point, how bad he wants to get out? Or will they move him by trade deadline? Skip, I don't really know, but it doesn't look good. I mean, if they offered him to make him the highest paid, I don't really know what else he wants, Skip.
So I hear everything you just said. We both know Adam Schefter, the great Adam Schefter, and who am I to doubt Adam Schefter's reporting? And I'm not about to even try to do that.
Right.
I'm just telling you my gut feeling from the start is I don't believe he wants to leave Green Bay. I just don't believe it. That I still think there's some form of negotiating going on here, and Aaron believes he's got them on the run. It may be to the point of he's gone or I'm gone.
Right.
It may be that.
Right.
And yet it may need to be even a bigger contractual offer.
Oh, so you want more years instead of the two, make it 3, 4.
When Adam says it's not about the money, I get that. But as you know, money equals security.
Yes.
So if you get a 3-year extension at top quarterback dollars, it's just about I need a guarantee that I'm going to be your quarterback for 3 more years or whatever it might be. 4 more years. He may want 4 years.
Right.
He may want that kid to be pushed into the deepest mothballs, right? He waited 3 years to succeed, obviously, Brett Favre. Okay, so
normally when they say it's not about the money, Skip, what it's about?
Well, the truth is the truth. That is the truth. But it can be about the security in his case because I think he sees Jordan Love as a legitimate threat to his longevity in Green Bay that he does not want to have to fight with at all. He wants to basically eliminate, because if you got, let's just do the hypothetical, if you got 4 years of top quarterback money, they would have to think about trading Jordan Love and hope to salvage something out of that draft pick, because why would you want to keep him that long? Because at some point you'd have to pay him to keep him. Right,
but here's the thing though, Skip. Okay, you're going to make him the highest paid player in NFL history. Right now, currently, that's Patrick Mahomes at $45 million per year. So how do you get that? So if you add 2 years, so 5 years, somehow, Skip, you're going to have to get well over $200 million. So, and to get that number, you're going to have to be somewhere around what Dak Prescott got over his first couple of years.
Yep.
So if you do that, you married Aaron Rodgers for at least, at the bare minimum, 3 years.
Okay, I got it. Well, that's what he wants, I believe. He wants to know, because I don't believe he wants to go Tom Brady and play until he's 45. That's just a gut feeling. I could be wrong about that.
Right.
But he doesn't seem to be built that way. He has too many other outside interests. Right. And he's got the new fiance, and who knows, they have things that they want to do
right.
in their life. He enjoys playing golf. He'd like to be the permanent Jeopardy host. I could see where he's thinking, just get me to 40. Just get me to 40 and I'll be good.
He's 37 now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna need 3 years.
Okay.
Whatever Dak Prescott got, I'm gonna need $5 million more a year than what Dak Prescott got. Dak Prescott making 40 a year. I need 45. So give me 500,000 more than what Mahomes got.
And I hear what you say about the CBA says you cannot forgive these fines, but there's a way to make it up on the back end. You just give
some more money. Yeah.
Just give a bigger contract, and it becomes irrelevant at some point. You still have to fine him. You still have to collect that.
Correct.
But you make it up on the back end.
Correct.
Okay, I get all that. But I just don't know if at age 37 he wants to start completely over in Denver, where I know that's your sort of hope of hopes, right?
Yep.
Okay, I got it. And would it be a good spot? Sure, it'd be a good spot for him. They do have a good defense. But look, here's what gets me about this. We've seen over the last week, Pro Football Focus and ESPN keep releasing their new rankings.
Right.
So who was voted in the ESPN poll the #1 receiver, and it was by a runaway in football? Devontae Adams. You have the #1 receiver, and then Pro Football Focus came out with its pass blocking lines. Mm-hmm. Green Bay was second. So Aaron, you got the #1 receiver and the second best pass blocking line to Baker Mayfield's in Cleveland, right? What's not to love about this?
But you know what, Skip? I got a lovely bride, but I hate her in-laws. I love my teammates, but I hate the guys.
Okay,
I hate Brian Gutekunst and I hate Mark Murphy.
Okay, but I don't think it's a bad situation. It's
a great situation.
It's not like the classic Damian Lillard saying, I just don't think we're good enough to win here. No. They've only been to back-to-back NFC championship games.
Skip, it's not a bad situation. It's a great situation from a talent standpoint. Mm-hmm. But the issue for him is not the talent. It's the guy that's picking the talent.
I got it.
And he said, y'all was disrespectful. And the way y'all handled me and the way y'all talked to me, Skip, he never lets an opportunity go to let them know. Oh, I threw a monkey wrench in y'all thing. Y'all thought y'all was in the free clear. Y'all was going to do something real crazy to me.
Yep.
But now I'm the MVP, and everybody looking at y'all like, y'all took a quarterback and y'all got the current MVP on your roster? Ooh. So he hasn't forgotten that, and he's not letting them forget that. But I don't know if you're going to add 2 years. Maybe he wants 3 years at, $200 and $300 million with $100 million at the time of signing. Skip, at this point in time, we're like, I think they report the 27th. So that's what, Monday, Tuesday of next week? Mm-hmm. So we're a week away from when they report. Skip, at this point in time, I don't really know what Aaron Rodgers wants now. Because if they've offered him to make him the highest paid, what else can they give other than saying, okay, well, say, hey, Brian, won't you go home for the next 3 years? And when Aaron Rodgers retired, you can come back and get your job back.
So it's down now to Mark Murphy, who's the sort of president and CEO of Packer franchise.
Yes.
It's owned by a lot of Packer fans. Yes. But again, he owns and operates it in effect.
Yes.
He runs the franchise.
Right.
So would he let the diva quarterback get the GM fired? Knowing Mark, I covered him when he was a player, but you want to talk about pride and strength. I don't know that he would give, unless Gutekunst got to the point where he said, you know what, this is such an awkward, bad blood situation. I resign for the good of the franchise because he's done such a good job of building the team. Would he get another job? I think he could.
Remember, they hired the head coach without telling Aaron Rodgers, and they reported that he said, don't you be the problem.
Mark Murphy called him and said, don't you be the problem this time.
They went and did what they did as far as taking a quarterback and not told him. What they tried to do was take some of the power that he had. So how do we take power from a quarterback? Well, we hire a coach, and we don't tell you who we hired. We take a quarterback, we take your backup, and you're like, hold on, y'all couldn't even give me the heads up? Even Alex Smith. So Andy called him and said, we're going to take a quarterback. Andy Dalton just arrived in Chicago. And he said they called him and told him, we're going to take a quarterback. And they should have had Andy Dalton drive to the airport to pick him up.
Yep.
So Aaron Rodgers says, hold on. These guys not nearly as accomplished as I am. And they get a heads up, but I can't. Tom Brady get whatever he wanted. He got Gronk, he got AB, he got Leonard Fournette, he got everything he wanted. And he was there for 2 months. I've been here 15 years, and y'all don't give me the common courtesy. Y'all fired my offense, y'all fired my quarter position coach, Alex Van Pelt. Everybody that I said I like, y'all get rid of.
Okay. Once upon a time, Magic Johnson out here in Los Angeles got a coach fired.
After he won a championship.
He won a championship. Paul Westphal.
Westhead.
Westhead. Oh, no, it was Westhead. I'm sorry. What did I say? Westphal. So he did that, but he had some pedigree already starting to build, and it was absolutely the right move because it turned into championship after championship. Right. So in this case, won one Super Bowl 10 years ago. He has now fallen to 1-4 in NFC championship games. So does he have the pedigree? Does he have the track record? Does he have the clout to be able to say, I fire him? You either, it's him or me,
right,
or I'm out. I'm not coming unless you get rid of him or he resigns.
Right.
That would be fascinating to me because I think their gut feeling, and I know that their strong gut feeling going into last season was he ain't worth it anymore.
Right.
Because
that's why they took the quarterback.
Yeah, that's why they took the quarterback. They were preparing for the near future, right?
The difference is Dr. Buss adored Magic. He would have done anything for Magic. He'd have wiped out the entire staff if Magic would have asked him to do that.
He would have.
So that's the difference. I don't know if they view Aaron Rodgers.
They don't think he's Magic Johnson, but the thing is, he does play. Aaron Rodgers plays, as I keep telling, by far the premier position, I think,
all
in
of sports.
It is. Because a baseball pitcher can pitch once every 5 days. But this guy pitches every game, and you sink or swim with his performance. And he just pulled off runaway MVP.
Yep.
So he's got them where he wants them, and he's got them on the run right now.
Yeah, that man been gone for like 5 or 6 months from that house. Yeah, he wanted deep clean, Skip. That's all he just wanted.
Maybe he wants to sell it. I don't know.
Yeah, and move to Denver.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, because Mike's house is still available. It's on the market. Nice house. And Mike will let you get it, too, for a low.
Really? Now, that's a mansion.
It is.
that thing. Didn't he custom build it?
Yeah, he did. Whew. He did. He spent a lot of time. He and Peggy spent a lot of time building the house. But, I mean, I'm sure he'll rent it out to you, Aaron. Yeah, for low.
Yeah, kind of like Jeter and Brady.
No mercy.
Space Jam: A New Legacy took the top spot at the box office during its opening weekend. Audience scores also came through as mostly positive for LeBron's version of the film and exceeded expectations for many. So, Shannon, how will Space Jam's success impact LeBron's legacy here?
I don't think it had. If the movie would have flopped, I don't believe it would have tarnished his legacy. I'm a firm believer, guys doing things outside of on the court doesn't tarnish their legacy. What did Kazam do to Shaq's legacy? Did it tarnish it? No. Shaq's still the most dominant big that we've ever seen. He's still a top 10 player in my estimation, even though with that movie. So I don't believe it. We don't look at what Jim Brown did in the movie theater as enhancing his legacy. Skip, Jim Brown was Jim Brown. Kareem, Skip, but what was that? Enter the Dragon, the last dragon that he did with Bruce Lee, and he was tremendous in that movie.
He also had a cameo in Airplane. Do you remember that?
I do remember. I think that was 77. I think Airplane was 77 with that. But I don't think that would have enhanced his legacy. I thought people liked the movie. It got a great cinema score, A- at the cinema score, which means the people that actually saw the movie liked the movie, contrary to what the critics said. And Don Cheadle told Entertainment Weekly that he was impressed by LeBron's dedication and said he has more acting to do than Jordan did. Says he sees on-screen potential.
I told you that yesterday. I felt like they bit off more than LeBron could chew because that was quite an ask of him.
That's what we do.
Okay.
It was quite an ask of you take a kid straight out of high school at 17 years old and put the franchise on his shoulder. That's quite an ask. And people thought he bit off more than he could chew. But no, he did not.
But he plays basketball. He does not act for a living. I think he should keep his day job.
We're going to get good at that, too. We're going to get good at that.
I'm not sure you can.
I'm sure we can.
If you can't play LeBron, I'm not sure you can play anybody else.
We're going to watch. We're going to show you.
By the way, Jim Brown was underrated as an actor. I thought he was really strong.
He did. The Dirty Dozen, 100 Rifles.
Powerful screen presence.
Yes.
Powerful.
So, but for me, Skip, I don't really think that this was going to have a bearing on LeBron's basketball legacy. Now, if he does 5 more films and you look back and says, man, Space Jam was his coming out or Space Jam was his worst movie, okay, fine. But his basketball legacy is unimpeachable.
Okay, back to your points. Let's start with Shaq. Shaq wasn't it called Shazam?
Kazam.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But the point was he wasn't trying to upstage or outdo a previous GOAT. Kareem hadn't made a movie just like that. And he said, well, I'm going to remake that movie and make it better than Kareem's movie.
That ain't what he's trying to do. Skip, that movie is totally different than the original Space Jam.
Stop
and
it.
You know it.
That's exactly what he was trying to do. So I have been hard on this new Space Jam, and maybe I've been over hard, but I am protecting the legacy of one Michael Jeffrey
For
Jordan
what?
because it irritates me to the point of infuriates me that LeBron continues to have the audacity, the delusional audacity to keep saying, I'm going to be him or I'm going to beat him. You can't. You won't. You're going to be a failure if you keep trying to compare and contrast you to him. You can't catch him. You'll never catch him.
Past him already.
LeBron had the audacity back in, 2018 when he was talking about what they did in 2016. And he said, that right there, that made me the greatest player ever. He said it on one of those ESPN More Than an Athlete shows, right? That right there, coming from 3-1 down, made me the greatest player ever. No, it did not. I'm sorry, it did not.
This last championship did.
This guy is 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs, and as I tweeted last night, I actually make him 7-0 with 7 MVPs.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Because the original Space Jam was so brilliantly, beautifully great.
Skip,
it was all-time great.
You do realize that you're not this presidential historian that's in charge of keeping up with the presidential library, right? You do realize that because what you're doing, I got to protect Michael Jordan's legacy. Stop it! This movie is so different than the original.
No, it's really not. It's still in the same confines as the original.
Just the name.
It's just the
some of the
Toon Squad against the Goon Squad or the Monstars, however you want to do it. The premise was the same, and they tried to take it somewhere else.
The premise was a family man, which LeBron is, and he's telling you about how you're supposed to support your kids and not push them in the direction you want them to go. Be supportive, or you might run the risk of alienating your kid and losing them.
Yeah,
and that's what he
found
did.
It completely bizarre because we get to the big game, and all of a sudden I'm having to root against LeBron. I thought he was Jordan. I thought I'm supposed to root for his team. I thought I'm supposed to root for the Toon Squad, and I'm rooting for his second son. Over here with the dark side.
You always gonna root for anybody against LeBron.
No,
You ain't never surprised.
The idea of Space Jam, you're supposed to root for LeBron.
No.
Yes.
You root, if Jordan was on the Goon Squad, you'd have rooted for the Goon Squad.
Okay.
It just so happens that LeBron team was against the other. You're like, I found myself rooting for LeBron's son.
LeBron comes out of high school, and he chooses to wear number 23, and he chooses to borrow the powder toss routine from the greatest player ever because he's basically saying, I got next, and I'm going to be you, and I'm going to beat you. And he never has, and it's been his undoing because you can't compete with a man who's so much better shooting the basketball than you are.
Can I ask you a question?
You're a lousy free throw shooter, and you're a below average three-point shooter, and you keep saying, I'm better than... No, you're not.
Can I ask you a question?
You're just not. And I thought the Last Dance documentary proved it once and for all.
It did not.
Instead, he has to come back with Space Jam 2. I'm better than
New
you.
legacy.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question,
No,
Skip?
it's stained legacy.
Yeah, no stain.
Oh, that's right.
I just want to ask you one question. Did Apple invent the cell phone?
I don't know. I don't keep up
They
with
did
that.
not.
You did.
But guess what? They made it better.
Yeah.
We didn't originally wear 23.
Yeah, see,
but
there
we
you go.
made it
There
better.
you go. There
we made
you
it
go.
better.
Yeah,
We Apple.
there you are. You are currently 4-6 in the NBA Finals. You've lost 6 finals. You suffered the all-time superstar meltdown in a finals that I have ever witnessed in 2011, your first go-around with the Eagles.
You see what you do?
Am I right?
You see what you do?
But you did.
You
suffered that. You can't expunge that, wipe it clean off your record. You did that. Did Jordan ever have a meltdown in an NBA Finals?
See what you do?
No.
When it comes to LeBron, it's always LeBron is 4-6, not his team. But when we talk about everybody else, we talk about their team. I'm hearing people talk about Chris Paul record in 2-0 series. Now everybody talking about, it's just Chris Paul by himself. It's not a team game. Y'all do that LeBron all the time. LeBron loses, LeBron lost. LeBron wins, somebody saved his legacy. Somebody did paid the referee. Y'all do all this kind of foolishness.
Did Ray Allen not actually save his legacy? He saved it. If Ray Allen doesn't make the clutchest three I have ever seen, it was the sweetest step-back three. Got his toes back behind the line and absolutely clean ripped it from the corner to tie the game.
Without 45, 15, and 5, are we even talking about a legacy to be saved? Do you forget what happened in the Garden?
Who LeBricked the last second shot in Game 6 of 2013 that should have ended the game? LeBron James. Thank you.
You have yet to tell the people that starting the fourth quarter, the Heat were down by 10.
Okay.
And LeBron James almost...
And then what happened?
LeBron James almost outscored the San Antonio Spurs by himself.
Okay, I dare anyone to go back and just read the play-by-play of Game 6, 2013 Finals. The last 2.5 minutes. Tell me what the play-by-play says. LeBron James has 3 turnovers. He had 2 in the final minute of the game. Yeah. And I'm talking about unforced errors where you go Chris Paul and just cough it up.
Well, Skip, it would be, you have a very compelling argument had your team not gagged those free throws. But since they gagged the free throws, you have no compelling argument.
So Kawhi Leonard at age 17.
Now he's 17.
He did let LeBron off the hook.
Okay,
I give you that.
So
and Manu at age 35, he let LeBron off the hook.
So now Manu was 35 back in the
He was ancient. He was over the hill, and he let LeBron off the hook. But in the end, all you need to know is that Michael Jordan won 10 scoring titles to LeBron's 1.
Yes.
And Michael Jordan dominated the all-defensive teams all the way up through 1998 when he had the greatest year, even at age 34, that I think anybody's ever
But here's the thing, Skip. He could score and play defense. Skip, see, the thing is that when people critique Jordan, they're not trying to diminish him. All they're saying is that he wasn't asked to do what LeBron was asked to do. How many times did he lead his team in rebounding? How many times did he lead his team in assists? Scotty did that. B.J. Armstrong did that. Or other guys rebounding. It was Rodman. It was Cartwright. It was Purdue. See, they didn't ask Jordan to do that. Jordan was exemplary at what he did, scoring the basketball and defending. But let's not pretend LeBron was a bum on the defensive end.
No, he was not. He was very good, but he wasn't quite Jordan. So
okay.
And again, the whole concept that LeBron became a liability at the late game clutch free throw line.
He's not.
He just is. I'd show you the stats. But he is. He runs from the free throw line. It's like you're disqualified. It's over.
How many games has he lost in the playoffs because he missed a free throw late in ball game? Now, you give me all that regular season stuff but you told me you throw regular season out the window. It's playoffs where it matters. Yeah. Who has most playoff wins? Who scored the most playoff points?
Well, who's played the most playoff games?
Jordan had an opportunity. He played 14 years.
No, he got 2 of them taken away from him, and then 3, he just said, I'm out.
Well, it's kind of hard to play.
My coach, you fire my coach, you run him off, I'm out.
It's kind of hard when you're getting swept in the first round. It's kind of hard to go further when you're getting swept.
Well, at least Jordan didn't get swept in the finals like LeBron did twice.
Man, he played those.
Huh.
Hold on.
There's a gentleman sweep in there, too.
Look at the teams that he got swept. I guarantee you the Spurs and the 18.
You could win a game if you're the GOAT. There's a one and only GOAT, and there's a one and only GOAT movie.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Because in other words, he should have took a game at least off the big 3 Celtics being the GOAT. That's what he should have done. He should have got at least a game.
Was that in the finals?
No. So the playoffs don't count.
Had he missed almost the whole year with the broken leg? Yep.
Okay.
He had.
Hold on, Skip. That was 1 year. What happened the next year? He got swept twice by the big three Celtics. Now, he got to win 1 game.
Well, did he go up 2-1 on the Dallas Mavericks at Dallas and then suddenly just fade away and melt?
It's funny that you bring that up. He went up 2-1 against the Pistons. He went up 2-1 against the bad boy Pistons. And what happened, Skip?
Yep. Do you remember how shockingly bad LeBron's stats were in those last 3 games against Dallas? It was pathetic. Disqualified. It's over and out. You're done.
I don't even want to bring up that game 6 when your guy gagged it off in the second half and Isaiah outscored him. I don't even want to bring that up, but that's neither here nor there. I let people read that for themselves.
What I don't want to hear is that LeBron's movie exceeded expectations at the box office. Baloney.
He did.
He has 142 million social media followers. 142 million. What do you think's going to happen if he bombards 142 million people with ad after ad after ad for the new Space Jam, the new Legacy or Stain Legacy, whichever way you want to look at it?
Just because you have that many followers.
Yeah. Did Jordan have any social followers? No, he didn't have. There wasn't such a thing.
No, they didn't, Skip. So therefore, everybody have this pristine. It would have been very interesting had he had it, where people can criticize it like they did, like they do LeBron, like they do these current. Because if you go back, the other athletes did no wrong. Bird never missed a shot. Magic never had a turnover. Jordan never missed a shot. I mean, these guys, these athletes now, they're bums. Stop that.
So the only way LeBron's ever going to be better than Jordan is if people just gullibly buy it. Like he's going to have to sell it. He sold you, and then he sells all those blind witnesses out there. I'm the greatest. And they're like, yeah, you're the greatest. If you say so, then you are.
We got the best movie.
Yeah.
That's what cinema.
Cinema
Score.
Cinema
Score.
Yeah.
Cinema Score said.
Well, there was no Cinema Score.
Yes, there was a Cinema Score.
No,
he got 63%.
No.
I don't think we're going to come to any kind
63%
understanding about this right now.
One
so we're
big,
moving
long,
on.
loud mess. That's what this movie is.
No mercy.
Giannis is 1 win away from winning his first title with the team that drafted him, and our friend Chris Broussard got Twitter riled up a bit yesterday. He said Giannis would do something KD or LeBron never did. Take a listen.
This is the super team era. Okay, there were people, I didn't go this far, but there were people saying when Giannis signed with the Bucks for 5 years, they were like, he just decided he's not going to win a championship. He's not going to win a championship, at least in the next 5 years. And then by then he'll be older. It might not mean as much for his legacy. He's doomed himself. And yet he's about or may win a championship with no super team. That is huge. LeBron hasn't really done that. Kevin Durant hasn't really done that. So that would be big for Giannis's legacy.
All right, Chris, I hear you. Shannon, do you agree with Broussard about Giannis winning a title without a super team?
No, I'm going to have to disagree with him on this one. Because so with the Lakers 2020 team, with their super team?
Were they?
I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely.
So what makes them super?
How about 2 of the top 5 players in the league?
So Shaq and Kobe were a super team. Nobody ever called Shaq and Kobe a super team. They called them a dynamic duo. Nobody called Jordan a super team because it was him and Pip. Normally, we go 3 players as super team. The big 3 Celtics were considered a super team. The Lakers with Worthy, Kareem, and Magic were a super team. We saw all the super teams. The big 3 in Boston: Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett. We think of those as super teams. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond. We think of those as super teams. D-Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron. I'm trying to... Olajuwon, Barkley, Pippen. I'm just... 2 players? So, when I look at Giannis, is Giannis not the equivalent of what LeBron was? So if you say LeBron is a superstar, Giannis is a top 5 player, and anybody you talk to, Giannis is a top 5 player. Correct?
Okay, so?
Would you not say Chris Middleton and Holiday as a group, as a pair, is not the equivalent of Anthony Davis?
Heck no. Anthony Davis? Are you kidding me? Guy who's led the league in PER again and again and again?
All I said, are you saying that Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday combined is not the equivalent? Because super teams normally was 3. So are we saying, so Rondo and Kuzma and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard and AC? Wow.
Well, wait a second. Anthony Davis has made 8 All-Star teams, and Chris Middleton's made 2, and Drew Holiday's made 1. Okay, so they add up to 3 total between them.
I'm saying, Skip, I'm saying right now, so we changed the narrative. So now 2 players are a super team. I thought, so if 2 players are a super team, what the hell are the Nets? A super duper team?
Yeah, they are. I'll give you that.
Okay, so anybody that got 3 superstars is not a super team, it's a super duper team. Because all the Lakers have is 2 players. They never said Shaq and Kobe were a super team. They never said it. I defy anybody to tell me Shaq and Kobe was a super team. So was Shaq and Kobe a super team?
I don't really care. I just care about what happened in 2020.
You care because you try to diminish LeBron. Because see, if you say he's a super team and he won, he had to do it with a super team.
Okay, so here's my point. Right now, if you add up all the All-Star game appearances, All-Star appearances of the Bucks, right here, right now, it adds up to 10 total, and that's
they got All-Stars on that team.
Huh?
Who? Hold up. You mean to tell me Giannis was an All-Star? Middleton, Holiday, Jeff Teague, Brook Lopez, all of them have been All-Stars, and that's not a super team. Okay,
so they have 10 total appearances as All-Stars, and by the way, this past regular season in PER, Giannis was 3rd in PER. The next player on the team in PER, you have to go all the way down to 49th to find Drew Holiday.
Where was
49th?
Where was LeBron and AD? Where was LeBron and AD last year in PER?
Well, I don't know. I only know 2020 because that's all I prepped for.
That's what I'm saying. 2020, when they won the championship.
2020. Anthony Davis was 4th in PER and LeBron was 10th. But LeBron was 2nd in MVP. So you had 4th in PER and 2nd in MVP. That means 2 top 5. There'd be nobody on the planet who would argue that they weren't 2 of the top 5 players. And you had them on the same team.
Where Giannis finished in
that
MVP?
Qualifies as super team.
So that's what it qualifies as.
And do not underestimate the fact that they had 2 other players on this team, and Dwight Howard, who had made 8 All-Star teams.
The last time he made
and
one.
Rondo had made 4 All-Star teams.
Last time he made one.
And then let's do all defense, shall we? Because they total up. That 2020 Lakers team had 20 all-defensive team appearances, 20 total. That's 35 All-Star games and 20 total all-defensive teams. It's hard. You'd be hard-pressed to find another team in the history of the league who had more total All-Star appearances and more total all-defensive appearances than the 2020 Lakers.
The 2003-4 Lakers with Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton, considering Kobe and Gary Payton, and considering Olajuwon and Scottie Pippen. How many times did Scottie Pippen make all defense? How many times for Hakeem Olajuwon?
All right.
Okay.
So let's look at Golden State 2018, shall we?
Yes.
Because that team, you told me that's about as loaded as team as there ever was. That team swept LeBron, right?
Yes.
Because he chose to turn down that shot on Steph in Game 1. Had him. So Golden State that year had a combined total 24 All-Star games on its roster. 35 for the 2020 Lakers, only 24 for the 2018 Golden State. All defensive team appearances 6 to 20 for the 2020
they had 2
Lakers.
Hold on. Are you telling me in 2018 that Steph Curry and Kevin Durant were not top 5 players?
I'd give you Kevin Durant. I don't know if Steph was.
Skip, the man just came out back-to-back MVP. Skip, stop this now. This is ridiculous.
We could argue.
We can't argue?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have ranked him as a top 5 player at that
Steph
point.
Curry.
Yeah. Steph Curry.
Lord have mercy.
Well, how about Anthony Davis? You wouldn't say he's a top 5 player? Are you kidding me? He's unstoppable. He's more valuable than LeBron was last year.
When history is done, who would be ranked higher, Steph Curry or Anthony Davis? When history is done, when they're both retired.
I don't know. Anthony Davis got a long way to go.
Skip, you need to stop this.
Huh?
Skip, this man is a 2-time MVP. He's the only man that win it unanimous. He's revolutionized the game. And you're telling me when Anthony Davis is done, his career was far superior.
I don't know. He's got a long way to go. Don't you think? You hope so.
Skip, that's not what I'm saying.
Do you think he can win some MVPs before this is over? Anthony Davis? You better believe he can.
Skip.
What if he wins 2 or 3?
So when I'm looking at the Showtime Lakers, from 79 to 88 with Kareem, Worthy came in 82. So let's just take from 82 to 88. Worthy, Jabbar, and Magic. Skip, that's a super team. When you got Bird, McHale, and Parrish, that's a super team. Skip, come on. We've always said 3 when you had Ray Allen, Garnett, and Paul Pierce, or when you had LeBron, Bosh, and D-Wade. We've always said 3 was a super team. Now, to try to minimize LeBron, we say now it's only 2.
Okay, more talented team, all top to bottom, more talented team. 2020 Lakers or these Bucks? It's the Lakers.
The starting lineup.
I mean, a year ago, you would have laughed at that.
No, Skip. See, again, You're minimizing Giannis. That's what you're doing, and everybody's doing that. The guy's a two-time MVP. We've seen Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton at his best is as good as anybody. We've seen him down the stretch.
We've also seen him at his worst again and again and again.
Skip.
Good Chris, bad Chris.
You said some of the same things about AD last year in the playoffs. Some of the games he didn't show up. You said that was concerning.
Okay. You said that. I didn't say that. You brought it up.
What about
Where's
Holiday?
AD?
What about Holiday? So Holiday's not any good. So what player? If Giannis is the equal, if not a little better defensive player than AD, where's the equivalent to Holiday on the Lakers?
Drew Holiday was so good that New Orleans traded him.
Skip, look what they got. Skip, they got 3 first-rounders. Hell, they traded Anthony Davis. So if we just look at a trade and say they traded him, the Bucks traded Kareem. Yeah. He was so good, they traded him. After 3 MVPs and 2 finals appearances, they traded Kareem. So I guess he wasn't any good. They traded him.
New Orleans also traded Anthony Davis, but not because they wanted to, because they were forced to by LeBron and company.
Look at what the Bucks gave up to get Holiday. They were in a rebuild. It's like, well, hold on. Y'all gonna give us this, we're gonna get younger. They got younger, got all these draft picks. They got, 7, 8 first-round draft picks over the next 8 years?
Okay. So?
I do not look at the Lakers. I look at as a great duo. But I do not look at them as a super team. There was nothing super about that team.
Well, if you give me 2 of the top 5, you're saying that doesn't qualify? You need 3?
So, hold on. But no, Skip, we've always said 3. Made it a bit, that's what the term Big 3 came from. Super teams generated out of the Big 3. So nobody ever said Shaq and Kobe was a super team. They had 2 of the top 5 players.
I told you after last year, you're going to miss Dwight Howard because he's still playing at an extremely high level. And all he has done is win 3 Defensive Players of the Year, 2-time block champs, 5-time rebound champ, and he was doing that for you in not huge minutes, but he would still play 20, 25 minutes a game, and he was giving you that kind of production. So don't tell me you didn't have a 3rd star. Don't tell me Rondo didn't play at the highest level. Rondo was taking over playoff games.
The same guy that couldn't get on the floor this playoff
I don't care what happened. He was. I thought he might have been the MVP of the finals.
Dwight Howard was so good, the Lakers didn't even offer him. I'm gonna use your logic. So
they should have.
When was the last time Dwight Howard was an all-star or a defensive player of the year? So see what you did is that you go way back.
I didn't go way back.
Yes, you did. Because anything that
did he not play at that level for your Lakers?
No!
He was tremendous.
Oh my goodness.
He was the guts of your team. When he came in, he scared me because he took games over because he had physicality and toughness and edge your team was lacking. Rondo took over big games in the final, just took them over in the fourth quarter.
I look at the 80s Lakers as a super team because you look at what they had. They had Magic, they had Kareem, they had James Worthy, they had Jamal Wilkes. They were loaded. You look at the Celtics with Dennis Johnson and the Big 3 with Bird, McHale, and Parrish. They also had Nate Archibald, who was one of the few guys to win the scoring title and the assist title in the same season. Skip, we've never looked at a duo and said they were a super team. Okay. We've never done that in the history, but now we're doing that.
Who had more help, Giannis this year or LeBron a year ago? Well, it's not even close. It's LeBron by far. Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and Rondo playing playoff Rondo basketball.
Look at Chris Middleton numbers and see how close they are to Anthony Davis's.
Yeah.
Look at Chris Middleton. No. Take the name aside. Look at the numbers.
Who do you want? Anthony Davis or Chris Middleton?
Skip. No, it's not about who you want.
It's a joke.
It's the numbers. It's the numbers.
Okay, so he closes games for Giannis because Giannis doesn't even have the closer gene in him. He doesn't have it.
Skip.
Really?
Closer gene or no closer gene. All I know is Giannis is averaging 32 and 13 on 61% shooting. All I ask you to do is look at Chris Middleton's finals numbers and tell me how close they are.
He's had some big games and he's had some disappear games.
Okay. That happened.
That's his history in this league.
That happened.
Yeah.
But we're not finna change the criteria of what a super team is so we can hype somebody else up. That's not about to happen. We've never ever, even super teams, you go back to the Lakers back in the 60s, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain. Okay. That was considered a super team.
Okay, I give you all that, but we're just boiling it down to 2020 versus 2021.
No, that's not what he said.
Yep.
Chris said super team. If you want to boil it down and said who has the better, more help, okay, fine. But don't use the term super team when there's only 2 players, because we've never done that before. It's always been 3 or more, not 2, because we never said Shaq and Kobe were a super team. We never said Jordan and Pippen were a super team. It was always dynamic duo.
So who would you take as a duo? Would you take LeBron and AD or Shaq and Kobe? I know what you would have said a day ago or an hour ago. You'd say LeBron and AD.
No, against Shaq and Kobe?
Yes, you would.
Skip, how you going to stop Shaq?
You got a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in AD.
Skip,
isn't he up there?
AD don't wear enough.
How many times has he made first team? 4 times he's made first team all defense.
Skip.
Anthony Davis.
Shaq punished centers. Shaq punished guys that outweigh AD by 30, 40 pounds.
Yeah.
How AD going to guard Shaq in the post?
Well, the better point is, how is LeBron going to guard Kobe? Because he couldn't.
No mercy.
The most anticipated reunion of the summer is here as John Cena returns home to SmackDown. Plus, live from Rolling Loud Miami, Bianca Belair battles Carmella and Big E takes on Apollo. It's the summer of Cena on Friday Night SmackDown, 8 Eastern, only on Fox. The Suns' hot streak could be coming to an end. They only had 4 total losses all playoffs before losing their last 3 to the Bucks. This will also be the first time the Suns will be playing in an elimination game all postseason. And to make matters worse for Phoenix this morning, Scott Foster was named tonight's crew chief, and CP3 is 0-12 in playoff games officiated by Foster. This is bad luck. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is with us now. Chris, what impact will Scott Foster have on tonight's game?
I'm going to say very little. This is not going to be win or lose because of Scott Foster. The last thing that Scott Foster or the NBA wants is the perception that a referee determined the champion of the 2021 NBA season. Remember, I mean, they're, 15 years removed from Tim Donaghy. So nobody wants anything like that. Even, this isn't close to that, but even a hint of foul play in the officiating. Now, I'm not saying Scott Foster's going to go out of his way to give Chris Paul and the Suns a favorable whistle, but I do believe they'll get a fair whistle. I don't think the Scott Foster, Chris Paul situation will be a big deal. It won't be a subplot. I don't think it's going to have a major impact on tonight's game. And I've got Phoenix winning tonight's game and forcing a game 7. All right? Now, here's why. I like the comments and the body language that I've seen from the Suns players since the Game 5 loss. You know, they don't look defeated. They don't sound deflated. They actually sound like they still believe they're the best team. Their spirit has not been broken. And with good reason, because they know they could have easily won the last 2 games, and this series could even be over, let alone them up 3-2. So they've got to shore up a few things. Number one, their starting 5 has been much better than Milwaukee's starting 5. Their starting 5 is a plus 34 combined in the minutes they've been on the floor. So I'm saying their starters have got to be ready. Every starter's got to be ready to go 40 minutes or more. Devin Booker's got to be ready to go 48. I'm not saying they're going to play that much, but their mentality has to be, I'm ready to go the whole way. Because their bench is what's killed them, and obviously the loss of Dario Saric, even though he's not a great player, he's big, and he was one of their key rotation guys, so that's hurt him. So I believe their starters will be ready to play big minutes, and it'll pay dividends. Second thing, they've got to shore up the transition defense. Milwaukee has killed them in transition. The Suns' half-court defense has been good. So if they can just stop Milwaukee in transition, which shouldn't be that hard to do, just get back, even if you have to give up a few offensive rebounds, then I think they'll be better, and I think Monty will make that adjustment as well. I think Devin Booker and Chris Paul have big games. I think Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder chip in with some timely three-pointers. I think Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton do not play as well as they did in Game 5. And I think Phoenix takes this thing home for Game 7.
Well, I agree with you. I don't believe Scott Foster will have the impact on this game that a lot of people believe that he will. But I was also thinking about going with Phoenix also. I said because Scott Foster, I said this is the time that, Scott Foster and Chris Paul's got, you know what? I don't even care who's out there. I'm finna go out there and be closeout Chris. I'm gonna drop a 35 piece on them, and we good making them get, as Monty Williams say, get back on the plane and come back out to Phoenix. But I don't believe that's gonna happen because when I look at Scott Foster has officiated one game. Milwaukee is plus 32 on the offensive glass. They didn't out-rebound them by 32 offensive glass with Scott Foster in the game. They got 31 more field goal attempts. That's not because of Scott Foster. 25 more free throw attempts. That's not because of Scott Foster. And they're plus 4, they have minus 4 turnovers. They've turned the ball over 14 more times than the Bucks. That's not because of Scott Foster. So we can say, oh, Scott Foster, Scott Foster, Scott Foster. Those guys have outplayed you, especially in clutch time, down the stretch. In those 3 games, they crushed you on the glass every single game. They really dominated you on the offensive glass every single game. And so don't blame Scott Foster. But I agree with you. Those guys are going to have to look to play basically 42, somewhere between 42 and 46 minutes. Devin Booker definitely needs to play 46 because when he's off the court, Skip, because he's really the only guy that can go get his shot consistently. Everybody else is dependent on CP3 or Book to get them the ball. And Ayton, bro, you got to give me 48, and I'm going to need 22 and 19 from you, or 20-20. I'm going to need a game 1 DeAndre Ayton, Skip. You remember how dominant he was game 1? That, in order for them to have a chance to get back on the plane, to go back home to have a game, and not to go clean out their lockers and get ready to, Devin Booker get ready to go catch a jet to go to Tokyo, DeAndre Ayton needs a 20-20 ball game.
So, tonight, for me, is all about Scott Foster, Scott Foster, Scott Foster. I'm going to say it 3 times, and maybe that'll make him go away, because I don't think he's going away.
He's not.
The NBA had to do this. The NBA was on the hot seat. They were backs to wall. They had to show we support our Scott Foster. He's one of our top referees. We reinforce him. We validate him by sending him to Game 6 in Milwaukee. I'm sure it was already assigned before all this started to unravel. But to me, all the proof I need was what happened in Game 3. Early on, Giannis ran over Jay Crowder, just flat out ran him over. This was the Scott Foster game, Game 3 in Milwaukee. And if we could see that, please. He runs him over, and Scott Foster has the audacity to stick it to Chris Paul's team by saying, oh, this foul's on Jay Crowder. I'm going to call Jay Crowder for the foul. How can you do that? That's the worst single call in these finals.
Yeah, that was a charge.
He just ran him over.
That was a charge.
Okay, so that set the tone for what was about to transpire. DeAndre Ayton got into immediate deep foul trouble.
But he fouled them, people, Skip.
Okay, but it's like, if there's any, if it's 50-50, Scott Foster is going to blow his whistle on Chris Paul's team because there's bad blood. It got so bad in Oklahoma City, going back, obviously, 2 years ago, that Chris Paul went to the league office. He officially protested Scott Foster, saying that they just have a personal problem. This obviously became public, got back to Scott Foster, and he's the kind who's going to say, okay, watch this. And I just don't love it because I don't love Chris Paul's mentality tonight because as soon as he hears it's Scott Foster, he's going to feel defeated because a lot of times you just can't overcome that kind of refereeing. DeAndre Ayton in the second half of Game 3 played a grand total of 5 minutes because he was in such deep foul trouble and scored a grand total of 2 points. Well, if that kind of refereeing happens tonight where it is nitpicky foul calls on DeAndre Ayton, the key to the whole series has been Giannis versus Ayton. And I had a Phoenix source tell me last night that they feel like Ayton is almost too nice of a guy. Giannis is a nice guy, but he plays his tail off.
Right.
And they can't keep DeAndre Ayton's fire lit. So to your point, if Monty somehow relit his fire for this game, he's going to have to play at a supremely high level on both ends. He's going to have to get Giannis in foul trouble and make him work a little bit more on the other end.
We're telling him, say, DeAndre, if you don't play better tonight, Giannis is going to win Finals MVP, and the story is going to be he dominated you.
That's
correct. What's going to be in the record book forever and ever and ever.
Okay.
So no matter what you do, they're going to go back and look at he averaged 32-13 on 61% shooting against you. But here's the thing, Skip. I believe Scott Foster's going to let him play tonight. I know that it was, hey, let him play. But, Skip, you can't commit the fouls. He committed his third foul. Here come Giannis coming down on the fast break, and he hits it. What about Book? Book got like 9 fouls called the other day. He wrapped the guy up, had the guy in the headlock, and a rear naked choke, and they didn't call a foul.
Okay. So are you saying it's just pure coincidence that Chris Paul is now 0-12 with Scott Foster refereeing his playoff games? Because I don't think it is.
Well, how's Chris Paul played? Chris Paul hadn't played the best in those games either. Now, don't pretend like Chris Paul was averaging 40 and they still lost. He was throwing up some duds out there too. So now, Chris Paul, I need one of them 20. I need closeout Chris. I don't need Cliff Paul. I don't need Chris Paul. I need closeout Chris. The Chris that we got against the Denver Nuggets in the game 4, Chris. The one we got in game 6 against your Clippers, and the one we got opening night against this very Bucks team. That's the Chris Paul that needs to show up tonight.
I would agree. Do you trust it?
Yeah.
No. I don't.
I don't.
Look, Skip. If Chris Paul is going to be defeated by seeing Scott Foster's name on the paper that he's reffing tonight, then he don't deserve a ring. He's got to get over that, all right? And I do think Chris is mentally strong enough to get over something like that, and he has to come out aggressive. Now, he's not going to give you 40, but I need him to come out with a score-first mentality. As I've always said about Chris, he's oftentimes a reluctant scorer.
Yep, I agree.
Where he'll only take 11 shots a game and, he give you 18. I need him to be aggressive because that's going to open things up for Booker because as great as Booker's been the last 2 games, there are times where it looks like they become too Devin-centric, right?
Yeah.
And he's just getting it and he's just going. And even if he's hitting them, they become very predictable. Other guys aren't touching the ball as much and they can get out of rhythm. So Chris needs to be aggressive so it gives them a 2-headed monster, and then the ball's moving and other guys are getting involved.
Okay, but Chris, I remind you, after Game 3 of the Lakers series, the first-round series, as Phoenix fell down 2-1, Chris Paul went to his post-game interview and volunteered. He kept saying 0-11. If I was a betting man, he didn't say Scott Foster's name because he didn't need to, but he just kept saying 0-11. And then the moderator tried to end the interview, and Chris said 0-11. Okay, you don't think that's in his head?
Yeah, but did you see Chris Paul play in Game 3?
Well,
Chris Paul played like he had 30 and 14 and he lost the game.
Yeah,
he was awful in Game 3.
Maybe you feel like you can't fight City Hall, like you've already lost because you're not going to be able to overcome the guy with the whistle in his mouth.
Well, how about stay on your feet and not turn the ball over?
Okay.
Not average 5 turnovers a game.
I'll buy that, but this is an ugly development to me.
It ain't no ugly development. Stop blaming it on Scott Foster.
0-12? Really? 0-12? You think Scott Foster's a good referee? Because I don't.
I thought Scott Foster called bull jive on everybody, just not just Chris Paul.
Well, hopefully he calls a bunch of bull jive on the Bucks tonight, right?
Well, they got Scott Foster.
They want DeAndre Ayton on the court. The NBA would love a game. So I'm not saying they're gonna force it, but they'd love a Game 7. They'd love an epic Game 6. There is no way they can take these dudes off the court if they're not committing just atrocious fouls.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Giannis's dominant finals performance has begun to draw comparisons to how unstoppable Shaq was. The Greek Freak's last game made it 13 straight postseason games, shooting at least 50%, tying Shaq's record. And yesterday, Giannis's former teammate Jared Dudley said the 2-time MVP worked hard from a young age and wanted to be dominant just like Shaq. So, Shannon, how close an impact is Giannis to Shaq here?
Skip, we're taking... Because I really don't look at Giannis as a true 5. Shaq was a 5. So when I look at, dominance, so we're going to take position out of it. We're going to say the NBA is positionless. He's the most dominant thing that we've seen since Shaq. Because the majority of his points come like Shaq in the paint. And he's dominant down there, Skip. If you look at Shaq's 2000 finals against the Pacers, Skip, was crazy. He was 38 points, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks a game, on 61% shooting, on 39% free throw shooting. Giannis is averaging 32 points a game, 13 rebounds on 61%, on 59% shooting from the free throw line. But here's the big difference, Skip. Shaq took 26 shots a game. Giannis is taking less than 20 shots a game. So that's letting you know just how dominant he is. Now, Shaq didn't get the help. What people don't realize, and you remember this because I think you're probably covering at the time, Kobe had an injured ankle. He wasn't the Kobe that he would later become. He only averaged 15 points a game in these playoffs. So Shaq was carrying the burden by himself. Chris Middleton is averaging 25 points a game, giving you 7 boards a game. So Shaq was carrying more of the burden, and he was all-time, because he went 43-19, 40-24, 33-13, 36-21, 35-11, and 41-12 to finish it off. But, Skip, if you go back and look at Giannis, he doesn't shoot the three. Shaq wasn't even trying to shoot. I don't even know if Shaq ever shot a three. Mid-range, Shaq was down low. Shaq was one of the few guys that says, I'm big, and I'm going to use it. I'm not afraid to be big, and I'm going to punish your little butt. You put a little guy on Shaq wasn't going to bail you out by shooting a little baby hook from 12 feet. Shaq was going to bump you down and dunk on your head.
As he says on TNT, barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken.
Yep.
And that's what Giannis is, Skip. He's the most dominant thing that I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal.
I cannot wrap my head around that concept. I have Shaq ranked 3rd on my all-time greatest player list.
Okay.
I got him 3rd. So it's hard for me to even put these two guys in the same sentence because they're flip sides of each other.
They are.
Because Shaq just posted low, and once he got his feet established, you were cooked.
Yes.
You were barbecued.
Yeah.
And once he demanded the ball and got it down low, you could build whatever wall. You could build the Great Wall of China, and he would just power right through it like a Sherman tank would. And the point was, he was 7'1", 325 pounds. That's what he was listed at. I don't know if it was
335, 340, but okay.
There you go. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like it.
No.
I told you that it was almost like, unfortunately, he became the greatest offensive force I ever witnessed. He destroyed my San Antonio Spurs when they featured Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and he treated them like little rag dolls. He just tossed them aside. They had no chance against him, both of them. They could both try to dig in and lean into him, and he would just overpower them. And by the way, he was a dancing bear of a man.
You never see a man that size move like he can again.
He could move. He had great feet.
He could run.
And he had great skill around the basket. He had his little jump hooks, and he could shoot it off the glass.
But Skip, you let him get in the paint, and he drop step you, he was dunking on your head.
He's going to dunk on your head, and the ball's going to hit you on the head when it comes through the basket.
Yes.
And he could tear down some hoops, man. I've just never seen anything like it. And the reason I said it was unfortunate, it got hard to watch because it got impossible to referee. The refs are like, I don't know what's a foul. Is it a foul or an offensive foul? Is it a block or a charge? I don't know. And they were finally just like throwing up their hands. He was unrefereeable.
He was.
Okay, so that's the complete opposite of this kid, and he's still a kid. But I told you earlier in the show, I've never in my life seen one player be able to benefit from scoring so many what I call hustle bunnies. They're hustle bunnies where you're just outworking people. You're playing harder. You're trying harder. And because you are 6, what do we give him, 6'11"?
Yeah.
He's got like 7'7" wingspan, and he's very athletic.
Yeah.
He has a good hand, a nice handle.
Right.
He's not like great, but he has a nice handle. He can handle the basketball.
KD.
He's not KD. And yet, when he goes on into the attack mode, he's like in 24-hour attack mode because he's diving for the balls on rebounds, and he's going to offensive rebound you to death just because he's going to try harder for the ball than you.
Right.
And if he gets it up around the basket, he's just going to lay it in off the glass. And if DeAndre Ayton lets him spin baseline and get baseline, it's the cardinal sin in basketball. You get taught it. You know, I was taught it when I was like 6 years old in church league. You cannot give up the baseline. And if you give up baseline to that guy, to this 34, and he wheels on you, it's going to be a dunk, or he can go up and under. It's a gimme.
Or you drawing a foul.
It's a gimme. And again, he's a slightly better free throw shooter than Shaq was, but only slightly. But I give you that, 32, 13, and 6. But here's where you lose me on this. Shaquille O'Neal was a flat-out killer. He had killer will. He had big game intangibles. He had late game clutch intangibles where you could get it if you needed a big basket, you could dump it down and the big fella would get you one.
But I think the thing is, Skip, when you look at the point paints, I mean, Giannis scored the most point paints since Shaq.
Okay,
that's what I'm looking at.
The numbers right now say that. I got you.
Yes.
But mostly right now. But if we look at the recent history of Giannis in the postseason, he's had a bunch of catastrophic flameouts where you say, well, how did that happen? Because teams built a wall and forced him to try to shoot a mid-range shot he does not have.
But here's the thing, well, Shaq just run over the wall. Shaq was
that's what I'm saying.
Shaq was just so big.
You couldn't stop him. You could. Toronto stopped him.
No.
Miami in the bubble stopped him.
No.
Stopped Giannis.
Right.
Well, they did. And Giannis isn't even the closer for his own team because Middleton takes over the closer duties, right?
Yes.
He's the guy responsible for getting you home.
I'm not saying, Skip, I think we're in agreement. We're not saying he's Shaq, but he might be the closest thing we've seen.
Those numbers are Shaq-like.
Yes.
I give you that,
Yes.
but it's in a very different package.
Yes.
No mercy.
The Cowboys fly out to California to begin training camp this week, and Stephen Jones says the team is, quote, pumped up. He also called it a build-up to the season for their fans, and that the players are also ready to, quote, make a statement and take the next step. Shannon, do you believe any or all of what Stephen is saying here?
Steven's just hyping the team. I believe Steven and Jerry are more pumped than the actual team. The actual players are, Skip, to be a part of Hard Knocks. This is just another opportunity. This is free product placement, free advertising, free whatever you want to call it, Skip, for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm convinced now at this stage of Jerry Jones's career, he's more concerned with commas than Lombardi's because he does everything he possibly can to make sure they're center of attention, because it's not like the other teams were like jumping up and down. It's like everybody else was sitting on their hands. And Jerry and Steven was like stomping their feet. Pick me. We want to be on it. Let's do it. We'll do it. And it's like, anybody else? Pick me. Does anybody else want to do Hard Knocks? Okay, Cowboys, it's you.
But Steven said they were told to be on Hard Knocks. That's what.
Skip, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to convince a dog to eat a steak. Because all you do is put it out there and just eat. And you go eat it. Okay, you want to be Cowboys? Y'all want to be on Hard Knocks? Sure. Hard Knocks is not going to make you better or worse. All it's going to do is that, you're going to put your best foot forward and get an opportunity to see some guys' personality. I'm anxious to see what type of personality Michael Parsons has. I'm anxious to see, I'm sure they're going to highlight Dak and his recovery. It's going to be a big theme, as rightfully so, Skip. But all I know is this. The Dallas Cowboys last year allowed 6,183 yards, which was the second most. They allowed 473 points, which was the most. The Cowboys been in existence since 1960. You would know that because you've been liking them since 1960.
I have.
And they've been bums since 1962.
They have not been bums. They have 5 Super Bowls. So thank you very much.
6 teams have appeared on Hard Knocks and made the playoffs. The Cowboy won't be 7.
So I agree with every word that Stephen Jones spoke for once, because I believe that he gets that this team needs Hard Knocks to be its potentially Super Bowl launching pad.
Will you stop using that word?
Well, I just had to throw it out there. And again, I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl, but I think this team is made for Hard Knocks, starting with the rookie class. Your man, Micah Parsons, you loved him as the best defensive player in the draft. He's now talking like he is the next LT. And I'm talking about Lawrence Taylor, the Lawrence Taylor. And the point is, I hope he is, because maybe he can back it up.
With a bunch of Super Bowls.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, maybe he is. Kelvin Joseph, our second-round pick out of Kentucky by way of LSU. He already has a rapping career under the name Boss Man Fat. I want to see him on Hard Knocks because I think he will take it over. I want to hear Dak talk about his new deal and his new foot that he's gotten repaired.
Right.
And I want to see Zeke's new physique, because the pictures I'm seeing, he looks great. Can he back it up and run to his physique? I don't know.
Okay.
I want to see CeeDee Lamb talking about emerging as the #1 receiver on my team. It's a team made for Hard Knocks, and it's a team that he talked about, Stephen, being hardened by Hard Knocks. I think the spotlight will be so bright during Hard Knocks, what is it, 4 weeks of that?
Yes.
That it will actually mold them into a better team going forward and launch what could be a deeper playoff run.
Well, Skip, considering that a lot of you guys have not been vaccinated, you will fall in the 2020 protocols,
That's
which means you will be social distancing from the Lombardi.
And I thought when I first heard what Michael Irvin, when he was ripping the Cowboys yesterday, I turned to my wife Ernestine and I said, I wonder if that's going to hurt them on Hard Knocks, because it's going to make it a little trickier for Hard Knocks to be involved, right?
Well, I'm sure everybody on all the camera people are vaccinated.
Well, okay, I hope so, but the point is that it's going to be harder to get the team together, like to have team meetings and that sort of thing.
That's the thing, but Skip, when you're on the field, where you have, it used to be, Skip, offense on this side, defense. Right. So what is it? Vaccinated players over here? Maybe. Unvaccinated players over there?
I don't know, but that could be another theme on Hard Knocks. But here we go.
Just so you know, it's not going to be the reason you guys not make the playoffs.
Well,
that's not going to be it. Not Hard Knocks. Other reasons? Other reasons?
Yep.
Oh, we have months.
Not good.
Months to go there. Months to go there. I promise you that.
No mercy.
Giannis is averaging 32 points and 13 rebounds in the finals and has a chance to close out the series in front of his home fans tonight. Shannon, what's Giannis's line and what's the score?
I believe he gets that line, Skip. I'm going to give him 30, 32, and 14. And they win. He deserves the finals MVP. The Suns are going to need a performance from Ayton like they got game one and what they got from Chris Paul. So basically, they need to bring game one, what they got from CP3, Book, and Ayton. They need to bring that type of performance in game 6. I don't know if they got it in them, Skip.
I agree. I say Giannis again runs circles around Ayton. He out-hustles him, he outplays him, and he gets his final averages, which are 32, 13, and 6, and he stands amid the confetti as the finals MVP.
Just because you said that, watch, they're going back to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any faith in Scott Foster.
Sixth man is Scott Foster tonight.
I really hope not.
Come on, I just want to be a good game. Just let it be a good game with no controversy, because I don't want you to come here tomorrow and say they'd have won this game if they had anybody else officiating other than Scott Foster. So it's on the Suns' big three.
You can book it. This is a Phoenix win.
Booker going to get 40.
The other way around. Other way around.
Booker's going to get 40 tonight.
All right. Could we see some confetti in Milwaukee tonight? We will be all over it tomorrow morning. Guys, enjoy Game 6. That's it for Undisputed. Call and enjoy are on next with The Herd. Have a great day, guys.